Kris.
It's Wyatt Elliott from Notebook Entertainment.
And you're watching Review This.
That was wonderful. Bravo! I loved that. Oh, it was great.
Well, it was pretty good.
Well, it wasn't bad.
It stinks.
All right, so it's Scream weekend, and we went and saw the new Scream movie.
Yep, sure did.
Sure did. So, I'm going to start by saying that Wes Craven's absence was most definitely felt here.
Yeah, it sure was.
I don't know where it went wrong, what went wrong, but they finally made a bad Scream movie because it's my third favorite horror series. So I love Scream. I know a lot about it. I'm probably one of those toxic fans that they were trying to lampoon in this movie here. But I don't know. It's not good.
I like the theme that they were doing. I like that it's focused on the requel. I like that they are targeting, you can say, toxic fan base and how the fans think they can control the movies now and stuff.
So there's really no point in doing this without spoilers because it's impossible. So what we're going to do instead is we're going to go through and we're going to start positive and talk about the things we liked about this movie, because there were some. And the first thing I really liked was Tara. She's a new character, and I really liked her.
Yeah, she's the one in the opening sequence, Jenna Ortega.
Yep, and you see her in the trailer. She's all over the trailer. She's a badass, because you really think from the trailer, oh, that's the opening kill, she's gonna die. She does not. She gets stabbed 8 times, had her leg broken, was stabbed in the hand, thrown out of her wheelchair, and still ran around a party fighting off bad guys.
Yeah.
While telling the killer to fuck off every chance she got, or say fuck you every chance she got.
But see, I think that's another thing that's off-putting is why isn't she the final girl?
Instead, we'll save that for what we don't like. We're talking about what we do like.
Yeah, and I guess it's okay to be different like that. Like, it feels to me, and maybe we're jumping ahead a little bit, but it feels to me like they're setting up, and I don't remember her name, but the final girl to be the bad guy in the next one. That's what it feels like to me.
I don't know. I don't like her, but I do like Tara. I'm very much a Tara fan. Good addition to the series, guys. Randy's sister Martha was back. I love Heather Matarazzo, so I'm all for Martha. That was a cool thing. Dewey's dialogue. Now, we're going to talk later about how I have a problem with the dialogue, but Dewey's dialogue did still feel very much like Dewey.
Yeah, because I think,
I don't know if that's just David Arquette taking care of the character.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say. I think it's probably credited to him.
Yeah, but once again, he's the heart of the movie. And gotta love Dewey. Another cool thing, James and Chelsea from my favorite YouTube channel, Dead Meat. They had a cool cameo. That was amazing to see. I did like that. Yep, congrats guys. That was cool. That's super fucking cool.
That is very cool. Yeah, I guess the directors of this, I never realized, and I saw James tweet about it, I guess that they came from YouTube, and they were YouTubers and stuff, so I guess they, keep it in the family.
Right, keep it in the family.
It's always nice to see YouTubers grow into mainstream.
Yeah, I saw them and I was like, oh my god, I was so excited. So yeah, that was a very cool moment. And then there's the most amusing part for me, there's a brief Easter egg where the worst part of Scream 3 is mentioned. So Dewey is watching Gail's morning show because they've broken up again. And you hear her in the background say something about bangs. If I ever get bangs again, shoot me. Her bangs are the absolute worst thing about Scream 3. And if you say Scream 3 is a bad movie, fuck you. Parker Posey is a goddess and a national treasure, and Scream 3 is not as bad as people say it is. They're liars.
I've always thought the only problem with Scream 3, if you're going to call it if you're going to call it a problem, is I think people were just disappointed that the killer was this guy that we never met before, and it was this retcon storyline and
but
stuff.
But at least he was still, they retconned it, but at least, because they had retcon here with Billy's illegitimate child.
Yeah, true.
But at least the retcon with Roman was still part of the bigger story, and that's again, one of the problems we're gonna get into.
Yeah,
but...
you brought up a good point earlier. It was like the original movies were like Saw, where it pans out, shows more story, pans back, shows more story, and that's a good point. It did.
So yeah, I love Scream 3. The only problem with Scream 3, I think, is the stupid voice changer where they could have anyone's voice. That's the only part I don't like about Scream 3. Yeah. But Carrie Fisher's in it. Like, how can you not like Scream 3? Fuck off. Like, but this movie was...
Kevin Smith is in it.
This is my first Scream movie where I'm like, oh no, maybe it is bad. Like, so let's get into why we hated it. Fuck them for killing Dewey, first of all. Fuck you.
Yeah, I think that was just uncalled for. Okay, and here's the thing. Like, I understand, because they make a point in where they say that, you know, like a requel, legacy characters can die. There are consequences. Fine, we all get that. However, I just don't like the way that they destroyed Dewey's life. Right. Completely. He's living in a trailer. He's away from Gale, who he clearly still loves.
An alcoholic who lost his job.
Yep, he was
his dream job.
Yep, he was forced into retirement. All this stuff, and then he dies, going back to do a double tap, and it's not even the coolest fucking death. Like, he should have the coolest fucking death if you're gonna kill him. It's brutal, and you feel it, and he's not trying to save anybody or anything. You know, like. I felt like crying. Like, I felt like, you know, I don't know. I guess I always kind of related to the lovable loser that Dewey is. You know, like, as another lovable loser myself, I always liked him. And
like I said, he's the heart of, I think, this entire series. He's that goofy, good guy who only wants to help everybody to counter kind of the sinister darkness, you know?
Yeah, and exactly. And I think that was the thing.
Light. He was the light.
Yes, he was the more positive one. I think that you saw that life had beaten the shit out of him, and it was depressing. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, it got me thinking about my life afterwards. I was depressed the whole rest of the night. Like, it's like, how come, Sydney gets to go off and be married and have babies and be happy, and Gale gets to go off and have her career and everything, but Dewey, the one guy who's done nothing but try to do right this entire series, like, fuck him, and we're gonna kill him too. Like, well, I mean, I guess you could say that that's true to life, but, you know.
I guess.
But, however, you know, but it's not, the thing is, in real life, it's the bad people that get to go on and have happy lives.
Right.
But
I'm sorry, if you're gonna kill a legacy character, I really would have rather it been Sydney or Gale, honestly.
Yeah, I do too. I never thought I would say that, but I think that, and in this movie, what did they give Gale and Sydney to do, really? Like, they came back, they had one or two good lines where they were like, well, this is the OG or whatever it was, and I don't know.
And they barely did anything at the end. It mirrored the other one so much, with Gale getting, you know, shot. Like, it's
just, I don't know. I mean, all the legacy characters got stabbed or shot or something.
Right,
But it just, I don't know.
It's so derivative. Like, it's just.
I think it's definitely time that going forward that they try to move past the legacy characters and just do something new with it, because I think they're struggling to tie it back, and I think that's one of the problems.
Yep, because what they've done is what a lot of horror series have not done, which is have a different set of killers every movie. So in the first one, you have Billy and Stu. Okay, cool. Then you move to the second one, you have Mrs. Loomis, who, okay, that's adding on to the first one. Got it. The third one, you've got Roman, where you find out, okay, well, what you thought happened in the first one isn't really what happened. Turns out Roman was kind of pulling the strings. Then you've got the fourth one, where it's, okay, now it's Jill, who's actually related to Sydney, and, you know, that whole thing there. I think what bothers me most about this one is neither killer is related to the original plot or the original characters in any way, shape, or form.
Which I can understand, because that goes back to what I just said about, I think the next one needs to not have the legacy characters in anymore. I think it's just, and it's hard to really pinpoint for me, because I don't think the plot is necessarily bad. I just don't think it's executed well.
No.
I think, and you're right, it might be all in the dialogue. It might be, I think the kills were good, but I just think that this movie felt like it was trying to hit the points. and just going like, okay, we have to have them accuse each other. Everybody's a suspect. Everything's on lockdown, which they don't really even explore at all in this one. You just hear it in the
the kids still have a party, no big deal.
Yeah, they don't seem to ever be affected by it. And then, which we haven't hit on, but the kids that are related to Randy. Again, it's everything's in name only. It's like, hey, do you remember this? Well, cool.
We're gonna be the ones to tell you the rules about the requels because we're Randy's, nephew.
When they didn't have to have that, they had Dewey for that, and he was, I don't know. There's
too many people explaining rules, I think.
Maybe that's what it is. Everybody felt like a movie geek. Now, maybe that's a sign of the times, too.
Right, everybody is kind of a movie geek.
Right, because
nowadays.
with the internet and everything now, everybody's got it. Everybody's watching other people's opinions, which forms opinions, which then therefore, And you pointed out when we were coming out of the movie that everybody's a Randy now. You were an outcast when you were the movie guy who worked at Blockbuster Video and loved the movies. And now, everybody can be that way, and probably a lot of the youth are that way. And it's cool now to know about movies and comics and all that stuff.
But, whereas the dialogue of Scream felt fresh and original, and probably how some teens talked and whatnot, I don't know if I'm just not around enough teenagers nowadays,
Maybe.
But this dialogue sucked. What it sounded to me was like someone trying to sound like a Kevin Williamson project. At one point, the characters are watching, Tara, I believe, is watching Dawson's Creek. Cool. Great choice. However, just listening to the background of the Dawson's Creek dialogue made me realize just even how much worse this dialogue here in this movie is.
Yeah, and see, I think that's the one reason why I have a hard time pinpointing it, because I didn't watch Dawson's Creek. The only thing I know of Kevin Williamson are his movies. And I don't know them well enough. I know that they're written well. I know I like his dialogue. But yeah, it's definitely different. So
it's like if Joss Whedon were trying to be Kevin Williamson. That's what this dialogue felt like.
Okay, that makes sense.
It's too snappy. It's too quippy. It's too blasé. Too cynical. Too everything.
And I feel like all the new cast, the only ones that were memorable in how they were portrayed anyways was Tara and, I don't remember his character's name, but Jack Quaid.
Yeah.
Those were the only two that I felt... Richie? Okay.
Yeah.
See, I don't remember his name.
And he's the killer!
To be fair, I'm brain dead. I don't remember everything anyways, but...
but you should remember the name of the killer.
I should remember the name of the killer. Yeah, and again, I thought he portrayed very well. I was very impressed. I told her I'm not really. I know of Jack Quaid, but I'm not really familiar with his work. So this, to my knowledge, this is the first thing I've seen with him in it. And I thought he did great. In fact, I was thinking to myself that maybe he's the killer because he's like the best actor here.
Yep. And that's another point I have where I wrote down really the boyfriend again.
Yeah. Which they make a point to point out.
They do, but it's like, okay, we are you know the Scream audience. We are savvy moviegoers. You're going to tell us that of the whole new cast, the most famous actor playing the character, who also happens to be the most likable and relatable guy, he's the killer? I'm shocked. I'm shocked.
And that's another thing, too. It really comes out of nowhere that he's the killer. If you watch Scream 1 back, and probably the others as well, it's
very clear.
It's pretty obvious. It's pretty obvious who it is. But, I don't know. And we've only seen this one once. Maybe if I watch it again, I will pick up on things.
Right.
But I did not see any warning signs. He was a nice guy.
I totally thought it was him. Because I remember when it came out as the reveal, I was like, I fucking knew it. But that's the thing is, I kept saying, I fucking knew it.
Yeah, she
through
did.
the entire movie. Because every time I would come up with a thing... that's exactly what it was. It was a very predictable movie.
The only thing it was very predictable, but they didn't give us what we wanted.
No,
and
at all.
I think, I don't know where this is on your notes, but I very strongly feel that this was the time and place to bring back a legacy killer. Oh.
My bad.
She was excited about that.
I get very excited. I gesture wildly, guys.
And I think that okay, I when 4 came out, I wanted it in 4, but I like what they did with 4.
Right.
I like 4.
Because 4 was about reboots.
Correct. So with this one, I think this was the time, because what are they saying they do? You bring back the original characters, and they bring up Star Wars, they bring up Ghostbusters, they bring up Halloween.
Yeah, because they even, the killer, Amber, I think, the second killer's Amber.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly.
But, she even says to Nev Campbell, to Sydney, we had to have you come back because we needed our Jamie Lee Curtis, and or we needed our Lori, or whatever.
She did say that, and she said Jamie Lee, and she's right about that, because I get that, because they almost did exactly what The Force Awakens did, was they brought back an old character, they killed him off, although Force Awakens brought back one old character at a time, but so at least they gave us them all, I guess. But still, did Dewey and Nev Campbell interact?
Yeah.
Besides on the phone?
No.
Did they meet?
No. Because she said, I'm not coming to town.
Right.
Because he's like, don't come to town. And she's like, why the fuck would I?
And then she does, and I think he's already dead by then.
Yeah, that's why she comes to town, is because he gets killed.
That's right. So there again, we lost the opportunity to see Dewey and her back together.
Yeah, we got a phone call between them.
And again, the way they handled it.
She's like his adopted little sister at this point. Like, he lost his sister. Like, Dewey's been through a lot, you guys. Like, but you have to remember, in the first one, he lost his sister was killed. Tatum was his sister. She died. The garage death was stupid, but she still died there.
Right. Just because she died in a stupid way doesn't make it any less impactful.
Right. So, he clearly then globbed onto Sydney as his surrogate sister. That's why he wanted so badly to take care of her and help her out and look out for her and all that. And so I think to not give us, before killing them off, to not give us that closure of them at least getting one more reunion. Because it's clear that they haven't spoken in a while when they talk on the phone, too.
Here's the other thing I think, too, is... I mentioned earlier about how they destroyed his life, but then they explain later that he is the one who chose to leave her only because he couldn't live in New York or wherever they were.
And he gave it 2 weeks, because she even says that he said, I couldn't cut it there. And she goes, well, why didn't you tell me then? It would have mattered then. Because it was only 2 weeks. She could have said, okay, well then let's go back to Woodsboro.
Yeah.
But instead he just left her in the middle of the night, and she's like, well, okay, fuck you.
And
I had a career now. There's no way she can,
Exactly. And after everything that Dewey and Gale Weathers have been through, and how much he loved her, and how long, I just don't think that it would have been his solution to that.
Mm-hmm. Like I said, I wish they had just killed Gale or Sydney. Because at least if you killed Gale, then you're freeing Dewey from that toxic connection that they have.
Right.
And maybe he can go find someone else to be happy with.
Or maybe it'll motivate him just to do better or just something. I don't know. Maybe everything's bad's happened to him. Right. So... Or who knows? Maybe David Arquette wanted. Maybe he pulled a Harrison Ford and was like, "I'll come back, but you got to kill me." I don't know.
Yeah, because he's got like a wrestling thing he's trying to get off the ground.
So I don't know. I don't know what the story is.
But I think the biggest problem I have is Sam, and not only that her name is Sam Carpenter.
Yeah, that was pretty on the nose. Like,
right.
Okay,
Billy Loomis, okay, but at least, but Sam Carpenter, like...
I know. Why don't you just call her Craven? Like...
Right, they already had a West character.
Yeah.
Like,
It was way on the nose. Like, I'm okay with Easter eggs and all like that, but then
they took Loomis's first name, Sam, and then just added John Carpenter's name.
Yeah.
Like, it's not
very well thought out at all.
It made me groan, because they called her Sam throughout, and then when they finally say her full name, Sam Carpenter, sometime, I'm like, ugh.
Yeah, I know, right, exactly. Yeah, and I remember, I don't know if I chuckled or nudged you or something, but I was like, oh, wow. Okay,
yeah, it's like, that's...
Really?
Grown-worthy,
like,
exactly.
And again, I think in a better movie, we would have just who cares?
Right. She's a boring actress. Like, I don't know this actress very well.
I don't know her either.
But she seems like a boring actress who played a boring character. Like, how do you take a character who is the illegitimate child of a serial killer, who sees visions of her dead father, and she's boring? Like, you don't care. Like,
which, okay, let's talk about that, because I liked it when it first happened. That was something I didn't see coming. It was never been done in a Scream movie, and so suddenly I'm like, okay,
I didn't mind Billy
I
Visions.
didn't mind it.
Yeah.
And they actually had Richard Grieco come back.
No.
Not Richard Grieco.
Skeet Ulrich. Nice try, though.
Oh my God. Nobody gonna know who Richard Grieco is.
Skeet Ulrich should sue you for defamation.
Hey, Richard Grieco could play Skeet Ulrich's dad back in the day, I feel.
Probably.
But yeah, so I remember I used to get them confused when I was younger too. But so Skeet Ulrich is back, and they de-aged him. And,
very well. It's very
well,
good,
and that's why they use him probably,
sparingly,
because it's expensive. And I guess, but here's the problem with it though is when you see him next to her, she looks less like she could be his daughter.
Yeah.
When you don't see him next to her, it's like, yeah, I can see it. But then when you see him next to her, it's like, oh, yeah, okay.
Right.
No, that doesn't look like his daughter.
Yeah. Who is her mom? Is she one of those skanks that Billy was talking to at the video store? Like, we never find out who her mom is. Because
that'll be in 6 or 7.
Because
probably.
that's the thing, is in order for Billy to have an illegitimate child, he clearly had to have cheated on Sydney.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah, so... Yeah, which, I mean, I guess is not surprising. His dad was a scumbag, too, so...
It was one of those video clicks games.
It probably was.
Yes.
We'll have to watch that scene again and see which one looks the most like her.
Well, because remember, when Stu and Randy are talking about Billy, and Randy's like, oh, if you were accused of murder, would you be standing in the horror section? And Billy's standing there talking to some girl and turns around and looks all creepy, and then turns back to talk to those girls or whatever. So I bet it's one of those fucking girls.
Well, I've been editing, just got done editing /our/new/advocate, and so I've seen Scream 1 a lot. So lately, yeah, it's all in my head, and I know one of the girls he's talking to is blonde, and I can't picture who the second one is, or there might be 3 even. But yeah, he's macking over there.
Bullshit.
So yeah, he could be. Who knows?
That's another thing. Okay, so one of the plot points is Sam had left town because she was acting out and doing drugs, and she, whatever. So she leaves town. And she comes back because her sister is Tara, and Tara has been attacked. Mm-hmm. But she left because she found out that Billy was her father, and she was worried she was going to turn out like him.
Yeah.
And that she had this guilt because she was accusing her mother of it, and her dad didn't know and heard her talking about it, and so he left the family. Okay, well, he's a scuzzbucket too, because, okay, maybe Sam isn't your daughter, but Tara is.
Right.
So you just abandon her? We found out from Billy, that's how you get a serial killer, is abandoning your child.
Yeah, because the story goes is she was in the attic and she was going through stuff, and she found her mom's old diaries.
Right.
And she thought she'd find romantic stories in there about how they got together. It turns out it was all this affair stuff.
About Billy Loomis.
Yeah, so, but why would a normal, rational person think, well, my dad was a serial killer, so I guess I'm gonna be too?
Right. I've been perfectly fine for 13 years, but now all of a sudden.
Well, they don't say when these visions started, so maybe she's been seeing visions of him all her life, but still, I don't know.
So she's seeing visions of a guy she doesn't know?
I was just going to get to that. So
but she said she doesn't start all the drugs and stuff till after all of that. So she probably got the visions of Billy once she found out that was her father.
Had to have been. Yeah. Right, because that would, connect them, and then maybe somehow,
I don't know.
So for a minute there, and I don't know if this is trying to be a red herring or not, but I thought that they were going to have Billy kill through her.
Right.
And I thought maybe she was
possession or something.
Yeah, we thought it was a final girl. Turns out she doesn't even know what's happening, and she is the killer. And I thought they were going to go super
red
different.
herring hints towards that, but they didn't.
They didn't. They didn't fool me. They actually more tried to blame Tara than they did Sam, and they made Tara look kind of like the villain. Which back to Amber being the actual killer. So the one who's calling her and she's texting in the beginning is Amber. And then so it turns out she's the one who's calling and is the killer as well.
Like I said, it's like they're and that's my big problem with the killers is the movie has set up the rules for the requel. They've set up all of this. Okay, here's what it is, but they don't seem to understand what it is they're actually doing. Because the killers say. Okay, we're gonna get into plot point problems because I think we've talked enough about what we hated. So here's one of my plot point problems is why were Judy and her son Wes targeted? Because the killers say they targeted Tara because she's the sister of Sam, who's Billy Loomis's daughter or whatever. They target Sam because she's Billy Loomis's daughter. They target the twins because they're Randy's niece and nephew.
Yeah.
And the girlfriend of the guy twin, she's somehow related to Stu. I forget how.
Yeah, I don't remember either.
And that's why the guy that she was dating, the creepy guy that was peeing on the wall, got killed.
Right.
Because he was dating her and she's somehow related to Stu or something like that.
Which, by the way, I was upset that a shot in the trailer, a very cool shot in the trailer, was cut out. In that scene, with the car headlights on him, there's supposed to be a big shadow of him on the wall of the Ghostface, and that wasn't in it.
Yeah.
So, cool shot, didn't use it.
But there's even a part where the group of people, are the kids and some of our legacy characters, are all sitting there talking, and they're like, well, who's going to be next? What's the pattern? Who's going to be next? And Wes stands up and says, oh shit, my mom, because they're talking about how they're targeting people who are related to legacy characters. Mm-hmm. And Wes goes, oh shit, my mom's a legacy character. And they're all like, relax, dude. We're talking about original legacy.
Right.
Your mom was just in the very last, her character was just in the very last Stab movie. Because again, they're talking about, the killers are trying to redo the Stab movies.
Correct.
So...
Because supposedly in the storyline of this movie, there's been 8 Stab movies.
And the last one was just bullshit.
It went off the rails. It jumped the shark. Apparently there was supernatural stuff and everything in it.
Yeah.
Which is maybe
and
that's
social justice bullshit. I don't know.
Which maybe that's why they had the
But they specifically told Wes, they're like, no, you're stupid. Like, the rules clearly state they're going after legacy characters. Your mom was only a character in the very last one. Like, no one cares. And then the very, next scene or something, him and his mom are getting targeted and killed. So it's like they set up their rules. Mm-hmm. The killers are very serious about trying to do this requel thing.
Yeah. But
then they're not understanding what their own rules are.
I guess I was disappointed too that Judy didn't have more to do in this. They went to the trouble to bring her back, and which I have a question, because I was telling her that I have issues remembering 4. I wasn't able to rewatch it before going out, and I've only seen it a couple of times. Did Judy have a son?
No.
Did they ever mention a son?
No, because it's only 11 years. So where is this teenager coming from?
Exactly. How he's in high school.
Right.
He would have. It's only 2011. Was only 10 years ago.
Right.
How is he 17 years old?
Exactly.
Okay.
So no, she doesn't. I know we don't see that she has a son in the 4th one. I'm not 100 that he's not mentioned, but I'm 95% sure that he's not mentioned. Well, there's still 5% that could be wrong, and
that's fine.
If you know, let us know. But I don't remember her ever having a son. I do remember the lemon squares, and they do have a little Easter egg to that where Wes is looking at the fridge and Judy's left a note telling him that there's lemon squares in the fridge. Another thing is these kids are way too cynical. Way too cynical.
Well,
they immediately, like you said, are like, oh, what if you're the killer? Well, what if you're the killer? And they're joking, but they're not. It's weird.
Okay, so here's what I want to say about that. That scene to me felt like which maybe they are, they're aware of the stereotype of the previous movie, so they're purposely reenacting it. One of us must be a suspect then. It kind of bothered me a little bit that they were so meta.
They're just playing along. They're like, okay, well, this killer is doing a requel, so we'll just play along with that then.
Exactly. So you must be the killer. No, you must be the killer. And so that's why I think it felt cynical, because I don't know that they were serious about it, or if they were, and they were just like, well, this is the role we're playing now. Which is weird. I think that was too much.
Am I the killer? I don't know.
Yeah, because they're not...
it's too much, guys.
Right, because
too much.
It's almost like it took away the seriousness of the situation.
And it also feels like they want these kids to be Billy and Sydney and Stu and Tatum and Randy
They're
bad,
not.
but all they're doing is taking the worst parts of those characters and then giving us nothing good in these new characters.
And as someone who's spent a lot of time with the original Scream movie over the past couple days, yes, I see what you're saying. It does feel like they're trying to copy. That's how I was able to catch some of the shots that they were copying and everything as well. And I feel that it's just not done it just feels like a copy.
Yep.
There it is. It feels like a copy.
Does.
It doesn't feel like an homage.
And you talking about them doing, catching the shots that they've redone. Mm-hmm. Why do we need the going to the basement to get the beer gag twice?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, they did it once with Amber going down to get the beer, and then, I can't even remember her name, but Randy's niece following.
Right.
And she's all like, why are you coming down here by yourself? You should have asked me to come with you. Okay, well, I will. Well, I could be the killer. Well, I could be the. Oh my God! And then when
I went to the bathroom during that part, and I didn't miss a thing.
He really didn't. He came back as like they just did the basement scene, but with commentary.
Right.
And then. Later, when the boyfriend Richie, he wants to go get a beer or whatever, and she's all like, "You're gonna go down there alone?" And he's like, "Well, you go with me?" And she's like, "Nope, but good thing I asked." And I'm like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah,
like,
and then that scene's only used for. Because then he shows back up after the killer shows up, and so now he's a suspect. Well, where were you?
Right.
And then, like, 2 seconds later, he's revealed to be the killer.
I know. And that's the other thing is it's like both the killers wanted to experience what it was like to be in the original. So it's like, okay, well, Amber went and did the basement beer thing, and then he's like, well, I want to do it too.
Yeah.
You know, like it's we didn't need it twice.
It does feel that way. All of the characters were aware that this was a movie reenactment.
Right.
Is what it felt like, and they were all playing their parts, and which again made it feel less serious because it felt like that there was no stakes except
and
for
talking
Dewey.
about less serious. Okay, I get that kids are going to have a party because they don't care.
Yeah.
That's what happened in the first one.
Right.
But why were Randy's niece and nephew allowed to be at this party? Their mother is Martha. She lost her brother to this whole thing. And she was shown to be a good mother, you know, I'm assuming. So why would she let her children go to this obvious final act party? I haven't thought about that. That's interesting.
Like,
that makes Martha seem like not a good mom. Like, you should know where your kids are, and they should not be at the final act, third act party.
I'm starting to question what's in the drinking water at Woodsboro is what I'm starting to wonder, because although I think they kind of alluded to that the killer in this one, I still remember his name, came to
Richie.
the town. I think there was a line that he kind of said that he came to Woodsboro to do this.
Yeah, well, he went out and purposely met Sam because he and Amber are such big fans of the Stab series.
Right.
But they're so mad about what happened in Stab 8 because they had to add all social commentary and it took away from the original and the original characters weren't in it and all that stuff.
Here's a thought. They talk a lot about how horrible Stab 8 was. They should have made clips.
They did a little bit because that's where the silver mask came from. Because he was looking at a YouTube video or something.
Was that supposed to be 8?
It was when Dead Meat was talking about it.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize that was supposed to be 8. Okay.
Yeah, that's what they were. Chelsea and James, the Dead Meat cameo was they were basically shit talking Stab 8.
Yeah.
And apparently rightfully so because whatever Stab 8 is, it's a pile of shit apparently.
Apparently. Okay.
Kind of wish I had watched Stab 8 instead of Scream 5.
I think that scene's a blur because I was so excited to see those guys on screen that we're all excited and the whole audience was, and I don't even remember what they were saying.
Yeah, that was another fun part about seeing Dead Meat is other people in the theater were like, oh, and we're like, oh shit, fuck yeah. Like,
right. Well, I mean, 5 million subscribers. They're big. They know a lot of people, so. A lot of people watch them.
You guys have fans.
They sure do.
I'm your fan. But yeah, so it just feels like bad decision after bad decision. Even though these characters are aware of what's going on, they're aware of what's happened before. Mm-hmm. They're aware of the patterns, but they just keep playing along anyway.
And here's another thought that I had. Like, the characters seems like they care less about the people that are dying around them than they did before. Like, I think about it at the party. They're all just lounging around, watching this movie and everything. People have died already. Right. You know,
Wes has died. That party was supposed to be, because they had the sign that was like, goodbye Wes or something like that. So that party was supposed to be in remembrance of their friend and his mother who was just slaughtered.
Yeah, it's weird. I'm telling you, like, the attitudes of the people in this movie are kind of like, they're in the movie, and it's no big deal. There's no... Yeah. It's like a game they're playing. You know, well, you lost the game. I'll see you in the next movie.
See you, yeah.
You know, like...
the twin sister, like, hears from the girlfriend that her twin brother has been stabbed, and, like, she has no reaction.
Right. And I think, I I don't know if that's on purpose.
But both the twins live because you see them, like, she's getting wheeled out or whatever.
The twins do live.
And then you see him in the audience, and they just kind of thumbs up each other.
Right.
I'm like, you guys are twins. Aren't you supposed to be, like, closer than normal siblings?
Right.
And you're just, all right, cool, weird. We both survived. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what it is? There's a coldness.
It is. It's a very cold
and all the characters.
movie.
Even Neve Campbell was way more just cold in this one. And
Gail had some warmth, but when it was when she was interacting with Dewey.
Exactly. But Neve was...
she didn't get to interact with Dewey. And I said, he's the heart of this.
Sydney.
He has always been that thing that softens the rest of them.
I guess I was also expecting Sydney to, being that they're paying tribute to the reboot of Halloween, I thought Sydney was going to be tougher.
Badass?
Yeah, I thought she was going to be way tougher.
That's what I'm saying. Like, okay, she got stabbed or whatever. Gail got shot once. Sam got stabbed once. And all three of these women, okay, I'll give it to Gail and Sydney. They're older. Gail especially is even older than Sydney.
Right.
Okay, I can see them hobbling around with their one little wound or whatever. Right. Meanwhile, you've got Tara, again, stabbed 8 times, stabbed in the hand, broken ankle, walking on crutches, running around this party, shooting people and saving the day. Like, Tara should have been the final.
I'm telling you, I'm going to make a theory. My theory right now is if they continue this path, if they do a Scream 6 or whatever they decide to call it, the Scream and the Screamier...
right.
I think that Sam is gonna have Billy Loomis as a ghost, and I think she's gonna be in the killer, and I think Tara is gonna be in the hero, and maybe she's because she survived all this. I'm starting to wonder if she's got some sort of
I don't know, but that's another thing that made me go oh, kind of groan out loud in the theater was at the very end when Sam's fighting with Richie, and she sees her dad in the mirror, and her dad Skeetle or Billy looks down at this hidden knife that you know, and so basically her dad helps her say, like, oh my god, I was like, this is something you see in one of those like feel good movies or whatever. This isn't a horror movie thing. Like what?
It was weird. It was out
this
of place.
Is worse than when what's her face's dad in Friday the 13th when he jumps out, the psychic one.
Oh yeah.
When he jumps out at the end.
Saves her at the end. Which made no sense.
Right. Like, but that I still felt was more entertaining than watching Silent Billy in the mirror being like, hey, look, that knife there, grab that knife. Like,
and so, like, I don't know if it was a budget thing or what, but they did use Billy very sparingly in this.
And in reflections and stuff.
Yeah, like, I feel
which might have helped the CGI to make him look younger, you know?
Oh, for sure. I definitely think that there is an idea there, but I feel like it's going to be a jump the shark idea. But I think that the next one's going to definitely include Billy as this... And either one, he's gonna end up helping her and be like a Dexter hero or something, or I don't know. It's gonna be weird, and I think they had an opportunity to make it cool in this movie, and they didn't take it.
Right. I feel like this is a first draft script. This shouldn't have been the final movie.
Agreed.
This should have been the jumping off point.
Yes.
And then they sit down and discuss and tighten it up, because it also felt. And I know it's already a 2-hour movie, but like I was telling him, because he was like, well, people aren't going to sit there for... And I'm like, they'll sit there for a 3-hour Marvel movie. If it's a good movie...
Yeah.
You'll sit there. We sit there and we watch 9 hours of Squid Game. You know, like...
Right. If it's good, it'll keep you interested and keep you watching.
So, and I think this is one of those movies where they did need to put more of the... boring in between scenes in, because it felt like there were just so many jumps and everything was moving quickly for no reason.
And because I mentioned this to you too, was I think that in the first one Billy got arrested first before they all started talking about suspects and you're this and you're that and blah.
It could be one of us.
And this movie was like, well, this is that part of the movie, so you're a suspect, you're a suspect.
We're gonna blame each other.
Yep,
and
okay,
yep, haha, I could be it. You know,
it's just it's too self-aware. It's way too self-aware.
Like, and that's always been Scream's thing, but not to the point where the characters are almost aware that they're in a movie. Like, it's almost fourth wall breaking.
It is. Really is. And I think maybe that's what Wes Craven understood. that these new directors maybe don't quite
right.
understand. Like they understand it. They love the meta part. I can tell they love the meta part.
They got that down.
But they don't know how to be subtle about it. They don't know how to.
That's the thing. There's no subtlety at all in this movie.
No, it's very. It's very. Here's what's happening. Here's what's going on.
Let us spell it out for you.
They spelled out way too much of the meta stuff. It hits you over the head with it.
Right. It's
like, ow.
They're trying too hard to be the original with the requel, but then not hitting the right points of the original.
So, now here's an interesting theory. Is it all done on purpose? Because you could argue that a lot of these requels, Force Awakens definitely did it, Halloween to a degree did it, where they bring all these aspects back that are trying to just stroke that nostalgia thing, and they're just trying to stroke that, but they... fall flat during it. So you could argue that it's on purpose. I don't think that it is.
But here's the difference with the Halloween series. When we're watching Halloween 2018, okay, yes, there are certain beats that are the same. There's all that. But it's still done in furtherance of a plot. It was not just, hey, look, this is like what had happened in the first one, and we're doing it again. Don't you like it?
Remember this?
We're hitting this beat again because it moves the story forward, not because it's holding the story in place.
Yes.
And same with Halloween Kills. A lot of plot from Halloween 2 did make it in there, but they made it their own.
Yes.
And added to it and expanded on it. And again, it was within furtherance of the plot. Whereas with this, their requel stuff just, again, it seems they're just like, here you go, this was in Scream 1, remember this?
It felt like they came up with the things to bring back and then wrote the story around that. Instead of writing the story and finding, we could put this in here,
this beat,
and this leads to there. And it felt like they're like, here's the tributes we want to do. This will be fun to do. This will be fun to do. And then now let's try to figure out how we get there.
Exactly.
And that's why I think it feels very choppy too.
Exactly.
Because it does. It doesn't feel
It doesn't flow. No, at all.
Like, I was also surprised, like, all of a sudden, like, the movie actually tells you that we're in the third act, which but, I'll give it this. It went by really fast. Like, I was never bored in the movie or anything.
No, it's not a boring movie, but...
I'm
not sure I was entertained.
Yes, and I'll say this. I think the whole time my brain was active in ways where I was either not just trying to figure it out, but, like, annoyed with this and annoyed with that. They should have done this. They should have done that.
Or they shouldn't have done that,
Speaking of which, are we? Can we do what they should have done now?
Yeah, let's get to that.
Because I have some ideas.
Yeah, because it's easy to see where this could have gone. And like I said, it does feel very much like a first draft. I don't know how this became the final movie.
I think laziness and in a hurry to get into production, probably.
Yeah, too many people patting themselves on the back, not enough people going, have you read it though?
Yeah. Because like, one of the ideas that I had when Dewey goes up to kill him, I'm like, well, wouldn't it be cool if he does really double tap him and kills him? Now they think this killer's gone. There's still another killer, but oh, wait, there's a third killer. Like, why not have that where now all of a sudden the heroes can think, oh, it's over. And then boom, Scream hasn't done that. Don't stick to the formula, guys. And that's too much. It's always... only once was there one killer. There's always two killers, and yes, they were self-aware of that in this movie as well. So what do you do to counteract that? You add another killer. And you have a false ending to it.
I'm sorry, but that's another thing that bothers me, is that these two killers, okay, Billy and Stu, best friends. Mrs. Loomis went looking for Mickey. She said specifically she went looking for someone just like Mickey and found him. Roman all by himself. Yeah. Jill and Rory Culkin. They're friends. They've known each other. Richie and fucking Amber found each other in a fucking chat room.
Yeah, they sure did.
And they bonded over the fact that they both hated Stab 8, and we're like, hey, let's be psychopaths together. Yeah. My thing was, okay, if we're doing the requel, one of the killers should have been tied to
yes.
like Mrs. Loomis and Mickey. Mickey had nothing to do with it, but Mrs. Loomis is what tied us to the rest of it. So that's why I think we should have had at least one of them. And it would have been fucking amazing, because we never see her body, if it was Kirby.
Yeah.
I know I want it to be Stu. There's a fan theory going around that it's Stu.
Yeah.
That it should have been Stu. I agree it could have been Stu.
Yeah, TV falling in your face, and he's electrocuted a bit, you know, but...
Stone with a fucked up face. It's
right.
fine. But Kirby, again, never... she would be pissed that Jill tried to kill her. You know?
Right.
Like, make Kirby the killer. I don't know how to get it in there, but there should have been... They should have figured out one of the killers to somehow have the connection to the actual story.
Yeah.
Because this is like Saw. It's a soap opera. It's one story that builds upon each, and giving us, the lives of these people.
Well, that's why in this movie they mention that they don't have the benefit of a Jason Voorhees or a Michael Myers who keeps coming back. They have to,
So where's Roman's illegitimate child?
There's ways of tying it back, is what she's saying.
Or maybe Maureen had another secret kid.
Yeah, she was apparently
a whore. So apparently she was a big old whore.
They could keep it going forever, apparently, according to them.
So where was her, maybe she had another Roman around there somewhere.
But it's funny because I remember in the trailer I did call it that Sam, I don't know her name at the time, but that she was going to be a daughter of Loomis. I did call that. I figured she wasn't going to be Nev Campbell's or whatever.
Yeah, she already had his first name. Why not his last name?
Exactly.
Oh, Sam Carpenter.
I know.
Like, I get it. Horror is an incestuous genre. And I do like sometimes when they'll, name someone after, like in Halloween 6, What's-Her-Face's parents are John and Deborah.
Yeah.
But they're John and Deborah Strode, not John and Deborah Carpenter, or John and Deborah Hill. Or
not, my name's John Deborah.
Yeah, it's John and Deborah. Yeah. It's a wink, it's a nod. Just like Billy Loomis. Loomis was a wink and a nod. It wasn't,
And it was named after another character, not
it's just too much, you guys.
it was just way too on the nose, and I think when they said it, it was kind of, there was a pause. Because it
was that little wink. I think afterwards, it just made me go, oh.
That was a little bit much. So I think the only way that they're gonna save these characters, in my opinion, is I think if they do go the route where Sam is the bad guy in the next one, because it's something that they've.
See, and they've written themselves into a corner here, because it's really all they can do with where the story is.
Right, because I feel like they might be setting up for that, because they still show her seeing Loomis in reflections and stuff, and since they did give Tara, she got the opening scene, she was the bigger badass, she's
the one who shot Richie.
Yeah, so she's set up to be a final girl.
Because Amber, remember they were like, because that's the other thing, they have the fake, whatever. Yeah. So Amber had already been shot or stabbed and set on fire,
which was cool,
by Gail and Sydney.
Although it should have set the house on fire, I think.
Agreed. I mean, she's running around half on fire.
The house should have burned down.
There should have been a way bigger fire. But it was a really contained human body fire.
Yeah.
But
right. It was obviously a stunt performer.
But so Richie gets taken out, and they're all like, careful, they always come back, and so they shoot the fuck out of him.
Which is funny. That was fine. It was fine.
But they've also done that before.
Yes, they
have. But then you've got Amber comes running out all crispy burnt. And that's who Tara shoots.
Her?
Yeah.
Okay. And again, that part didn't feel like, well, this is the way a reboot would do. That part felt like we are just, remember this?
Here's what we've already done before a few times.
Remember, you're all going to like it because you've seen this movie.
Yeah.
I
think that's my problem, is it's too many winks, nods, and elbow nudges to, hey, ha ha ha, don't you like what we're giving you here? Instead of just giving us a good Scream story.
Mm-hmm. The whole part of them even being back in that house really was...
Right, when they pulled up to, they're like, we gotta go to Amber's house, because part of the plot was they were going to try and do something nobody else had done, which was get out of Woodsboro.
Right.
And I'm like, Sydney did that twice.
Right.
She went to college, and then she went to live in her secret house in the mountains.
Woods.
Yeah, like
that's where she pulled the Jamie Lee Curtis was when she went and did that in 3.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
first.
They've done get out of Woodsboro. It doesn't work. So no, you're not doing anything new by we're gonna leave town because the killer's here.
Right.
But Tara needs her inhaler because this girl also has asthma.
Right.
That's how badass she is. Like, Tara's awesome. But so that she's like, I've got an extra one at Amber's house and it's on the way. And where do they pull up in front of? Fucking Stu Macher's house. I'm like, I was like, I recognize this house. And I wasn't sure, though. But I was like, I recognize this house so much. And then sure enough, she's like, when my family bought this house.
Yeah.
And Sydney looks around and is like, oh, yeah, it is Stu's house. I'm like, bitch, how do you not recognize it?
Yeah, because it's only parts of like...
Oh, no, no, it's someone else. Because Sydney does know. Because when they're hunting the car or whatever, that's her and Gail realize which house they're going to. But it's someone else that doesn't. Maybe Sam.
Might be Sam.
Doesn't realize that that's Stu Macher's house.
That's probably what it was. Well, maybe she wouldn't know.
I don't know, but it's...
Because the house, like, I didn't recognize it at first either.
I didn't need her to tell... I needed her to tell me to confirm what I already thought, but I recognized that was Stu's house from the way that it was set up. But even, like I said, the going down to get the beer, because they don't reveal that it's Stu's house until after all of that happens.
Right, you're supposed to recognize it.
Going down, I was like, well, that's the exact same fucking like it's the base. I believe the living room is. I know it's decorated different. It's different, also painted different. Yeah. But the hallway looks the same. The hallway looks the same. The front of the house looks almost the same.
Right.
Like it had like an arch thing in front of the entrance pathway. In the first one, and it looked like it was more in the first one. It looked like it was more like out away from town a little bit, like it had more land around it, but I don't know. Well,
that tends to be over 10 years or
That's
25 years.
Creeping development and shit.
Exactly. So that does make sense that it would be. But yeah, well.
Yeah, I don't know. So overall, I'm gonna say that it's my least favorite Scream movie.
Yeah, it's not a bad time, but as the first Scream movie,
either.
It really isn't, because I was telling her, it's the first one I've ever left where I just felt down. I didn't feel positive. I didn't feel upbeat. I didn't feel...
Like you just had fun.
Fun, yeah. I felt like I just went to the dentist or something.
And got kicked in the nuts. Like...
Yeah, it was. And then the more we talked about it and everything, it was like, I didn't like it.
Right.
And here as we talk about it, there is very few things that, if you notice, we've brought up that we genuinely liked.
Yep. So. I say the best thing to come out of this movie is Tara.
Yeah.
For sure.
And so, so hopefully, I mean, I wouldn't say don't make another Scream. I'd say maybe give it a few years.
I'd say give it a few years and then make Tara the fucking star of it, because that girl is badass.
Yeah. So, all right, I guess that's our thoughts on...
I could rant forever, honestly.
Right.
I hated it.
I didn't like it.
And who knows, upon more viewings, it could grow on me, but as of right now...
Yeah, maybe it's something we'll revisit later. See what happens. I guess it's going to go to Paramount Plus February 28th, so... If you guys,
I'll try it again.
You know what? If you guys don't want to go to the theaters, just wait on this one and see it February 28th on Paramount Plus.
Yep, and get Paramount Plus anyway, because that's where you see MTV Challenge, and I love the challenge.
And a lot of other
Ever since
content.
Road Rules Real World, when it was the original challenge, I've been watching this show for like 20, 30 years, whatever it is. But like, yeah, go watch that show.
Yeah, so we're going to end this.
That's more fun than Scream. Right, I have to go watch the finale of the All-Stars. So. All right.
So, thank you guys. Please like and subscribe. And tell us what you thought of the Scream movie.
Yeah, because it seems to be, from some of the reviews we've seen, some people really like it and some people feel like we do, whereas like, oh, that was a waste of time.
And it seems to me the people who are horror fans or have been following the series forever and actually are fans don't like it. And the ones who are casual fans or I'm not really a horror person, it was fun, they like it.
Yeah.
So.
Which is the opposite of what happened with Halloween Kills, where it seemed like the fans of Halloween and horror fans were like, this was a solid sequel. Whereas people who are just casual viewers were like, oh my god, it was so brutal.
I know.
Like, where?
It was so violent.
I mean, I know where, but yeah, it was brutal. Like, but again, I'm sitting there watching this new Scream movie, and I'm like, that's not any less brutal than what we watched in Halloween Kills.
And
dude gets stabbed through the face. Like,
I do feel like this one was more brutal than some of the past Scream movies, though.
Yes.
And I think that was intentional.
I think this might be the most brutal of the
Scream. That was intentional because, again, the requel thing, what they did with Halloween and stuff, they're trying to make it more violent and stuff and feel brutal.
Up the ante. Because it was I think it was a bigger body count, too.
Probably. That would be up to James to figure out.
Yeah, well, that's dead meat territory, but I do think that this one had a higher body count.
Yeah, James, when's the kill count coming out?
After the Blu-ray.
When's the kill rate coming out?
After the Blu-ray. After he takes his break, all right? Jeez.
Right.
All right, let the man have a break.
All right, guys, thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.
Ring the bell so you get notifications. Make sure you check out my Slasher Advocate where I defend Billy and Stu.
Yep, it's really good, guys. Spent a lot of time on it. It's a great video. You'll learn stuff, and you'll never look at Scream the same way again. So, I'll leave a link right here.
That's it for us. That's it for our thoughts on Scream for now, because I'm sure I'll be talking about it again many times over many shows.
Well, yeah, she's got to advocate for these assholes
now. Yeah, I got to figure out how I'm going to
to
defend these assholes now. Jesus. All right.
Oh, my God.
So, stay tuned for more awesome content from us. Thanks for watching.
Good night, guys.
Have a good night. Good fight.
Bye.
Jesus Christ, you don't know the rules?
Have an aneurysm, why don't you?
X equals death, okay? Number 2, you can never drink or do drugs. No, the sin factor. It's a sin. It's an extension of number 1. And number 3, never, ever, ever, under any circumstances say, I'll be right back. Because you won't be back.
I'm getting another beer. You want one?
Yeah, sure.
I'll be right back.